Hey guys, HughZ here, going to be doing some predictions and power rankings this time for the North American and European Smite Pro League. As well as that, I'm going to be doing a cross-regional power rankings as well, so ranking the NA and EU teams in a combined power ranking system. I don't know if too many people have done this before, and it's a little hard to tell with this stuff, but I'm going to attempt it, and I hope you guys enjoy it all. So first of all, there's no standings to be had at the moment because no games have been played, but I'm just going to go through the regional power rankings. So starting off in Europe, number one team, I'm going to have Obey Alliance, winner of Smite Masters. I think currently the best team right now, although I think Dig is hot on their heels. And that's going to be our number two team is going to be Team Dignitas, a very strong team, showed up really well at Smite Masters. Unfortunately for them, fell down in the finals against Obey. Took them all the way to Game 5 as well. So I think this is a very strong roster, and I think that best of 5 series could have gone either way. So I think these two teams are very, very close right now. In the number 3 spot, we are going to have Energy Esports. Energy, a little bit off their usual form. I know a few of the players weren't happy with how they performed at Smite Masters. They said as much themselves, and they're going to be back on their grind. So this is another team near the top of Europe that is going to make things very, very contentious. And I think Europe this split's going to be one of the most hard-fought regions because there's so much talent. The number 4 team is going to be Team Rival. They showed up really well at Smite Masters as well as the Gauntlet LAN. I think this team's finally starting to put those pieces together that they were missing, or they just starting to translate their performances in scrims into the actual SPL themselves. So I think this is going to be a team to watch as well. But there's just so much talent in Europe right now that it's going to be difficult for them to get out of the 4th position. Number 5, I'm going to have Enix. So it's a new look roster a little bit. Ducky coming into the solo lane, fails in the jungle, but the rest of the gang is still the same from last split. I think this improves Enix somewhat, but again, all the teams above them are so good right now that it's going to be difficult for them in this split. But, I still see them as the number 5 team in Europe. Elevate is going to be coming in at number 6. Not too much to say with Elevate. This kind of bottom 3 of EU, I think, will be kind of close. Elevate lost Fails out of the jungle as he moved to Enix. The Parpies are apparently monsters, so Elevates needs to really elevate their gameplay to stay afloat in Europe. Number 7, I'm going to have the Parpies, just because they're the Parpies, and how could you have it any other way? These guys are monsters, and from all reports, I'm really excited to see how they actually play in the SPL now that they've finally gotten a chance to show themselves. And number 8, I'm going to have Optimus Gang. This was the team that did make it to the Gauntlet LAN, and they actually beat Sanguine there. And obviously they've made it through relegations against the likes of Sanguine. So I still think, however, that Optimus Gang is going to be the number 8 team, or have them at the moment as the number 8 team. I need to see more out of them. And also, I just couldn't put them above the Parpies. Looking down at North America, so this one's a little bit more... despite the closeness of competition in Europe, I think that North America at the moment is a big question mark for me about who's going to show up this split. Because last split, and especially this performance at Smite Masters was telling as well, was yes, you had like Luminosity and Eager on top. You had Eager as the number 1 team, but then when they played against the other regions, they didn't look that hot. In fact, North America only won 1 set at Smite Masters, and that was Eager, the number 1 North American seed, against the Brazilian squad, Black Dragons, and Black Dragons nearly won that set. They should have won that set. If Divios doesn't jump on the Portal Demon as Fenrir and steal it away, Black Dragons win that set. So that was very, very close. So North America, I think things are a little bit shaky right now, and everyone's still kind of struggling to find out where they fit in. But I'm going to attempt to do some power rankings for these guys, and in the number 1 spot, I'm going to have Luminosity Gaming. No roster changes for them. They looked probably the strongest out of all the North American sides at Smite Masters. They did lose to Team Rival, but I still think they looked a little bit better than Eager, who looked a lot out of sorts. And Eager as well have made some roster moves and stuff that I think might take them a little bit of time to adjust to. In the second spot, and I think this is going to be the point of most contention for most people, I'm going to have E United. I actually like the change of having Polar Bear Mike coming in instead of Payne Deviant. Nothing against Payne himself, but just Polar Bear Mike's a great smart mind, and I think the fact that the team really wanted him in because they want him to coach and now they want him in to play means that they trust him a lot and they're going to listen to his calls. Whereas I think they lost a bit of that faith in Payne Deviant, and so people didn't trust the calls and they didn't follow up, and things just fell apart for them. So I think that, Benji being back on the roster as well, like he was at the end of I think midway through last split as well, I think this team has a lot of potential. And I think more so than their new addition, I think Eager's roster move weakens Eager a little bit. So it's going to... And I think Saw had a rough time at Smart Masters as well. So I think those two teams are suffering a little bit right now. And I think E United's really poised to take themselves up their rankings in North America. Number 3, I'm going to have Eager. They were the number 1 North American squad last split. But I think that removing Pern from the jungle, and I'm pretty sure he was, kind of the main shot caller for the team. He was the captain for the team as well, I believe. As well as, they had, Devious was off the roster, now he's back on. Sanford Soccer, yeah, he's a tremendously skilled player. But it's, how's he going to perform in the SPL? I think he will do pretty well. And Zapman is still on this team, or Raw is still on this team, Best is still on this team. Divios is back on the team, like, with a lot of talent around Sanford Soccer as well. And so I still have them in the number 3. I have them now in the number 3 spot after kind of dropping from the number 1 spot, but I still have them near the top of North America. So number 4 is going to be Saw Gaming. Now, this team, I think, is the biggest wild card for me in the North American region, because this is a team that could be at the top of the pack, given the tremendous talent on this roster. You got Vedium, Jigs, Anderster, Homie FA, Fine OK. Like, this is a really talented roster. But if it's the same Saw that showed up to Smite Masters, then this could be a very middle-of-the-pack team. It just depends on if they get a couple of the key matchups. In a couple of their key matchups, I should say, if they get the W, then this could be a top-tier squad. It's just which Saw will show up. Number 5, I'm going to have in memory of Gabe. This roster has a lot of... It's similar to Saw. It's a lot of very skilled players, but they just seem very middle of the pack. They, as a team, as individuals, they're great players, but as a team, it's still kind of like, how's it coming together? And Walrus is no longer on the squad either, so I don't know who they have in the solo lane. That's a really big question mark for me to have, and that selection could even lower them to the 6th spot in these rankings. And speaking of that 6th spot, it's actually going to be Team Allegiance. And, this roster, it's... this is the thing with North America as well. It's like these 3 teams especially, it's like all the players on these squad are really good players. But it's just like, they just not working well together as a team. And, we saw at Smite Masters how well Europe plays as a team, and North America struggled in that aspect a little bit. But, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what North America needs to do. I think they just need to study some EU gameplay. Number 7, I'm going to have Noble. And number 8, I'm going to have Flashpoint. These 2 relegated teams. I think these 2 will be probably stay in these positions or maybe flip with each other throughout the split. We don't know what the full Noble roster is. Flashpoint's roster... I don't think they're going to be lighting the world on fire. I think they'll be a solid roster, but there's a lot of talent still in North America. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a cross-regional power ranking. So this is going to be power rankings of both regions combined. And I think this will probably be the most controversial part of the video. But, sometimes you just got to roll the dice on a new idea. So, these are my cross-regional power rankings. In the number 1 spot, I have the Obey Alliance. Number 2 is Team Dignitas. Number 3 is Energy. And number 4 is Rival. So after those 4 EU teams in a row, and I don't think many people could argue that you would have those 4 EU teams in a row, I'm going to have Luminosity Gaming at number 5 and E United at number 6. Number 7 is going to be Enix. Number 8 is going to be Team Eager. Number 9 is going to be Saw. Number 10, In Memory of Gabe. Number 11, ALG. So we have, there's our run of 4 North American rosters in a row. Then I'm going to have Elevate, and then the Parpies. 14 is going to be Noble, 15 Optimus Gang, 16 Flashpoint. So I'm not going to, I've talked about where I have these teams in their own respective regions, and so that's going to be pretty much my arguments for why those teams are where they are in this cross-regional power rankings. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on these, by the way, so please leave comments either in the video or on Reddit, anywhere, and let me know what you think, where you see some of these teams potentially ending up at the end of the split, and, if you would have anyone ranked differently at the moment. So that's the important thing to note as well, that these are my power rankings as of this moment, like this moment in time, not necessarily where people will end up at the end of the split. This is just how strong I see these teams right now, based off all the information we have at hand. So these could very well change. I mean, I'm sure they will change throughout the split, both within their own region and cross-regionally. All right, so that's going to finally bring us to our predictions. And so, the power rankings are going to be a little bit of a guide for these predictions, but they're also just going to be based off individual matchups as well. So, Thursday, we are going to have... Oh, I guess it's Wednesday for you guys, Thursday for me. So, the Wednesday matchups is going to be... The first one is going to be Elevate versus Team Dignitas. This should be a 2-0 to Team Dignitas. I think Dig's just a much stronger team than Elevate. Next up, we have the Parpies versus Enix. This one should be a 2-0 to Enix, but we've all heard tales about the Parpies. The Parpies are coming and how scary this roster can be. So this could potentially be a split, but I think Enix is pretty strong right now, so I'm going to give this 2-0 to Enix. Flashpoint versus Saw Gaming. This one should be a 2-0 to Saw. I'm not... the Flashpoint roster isn't too crash hot at the moment. I think Saw is probably going to be a little bit miffed at their performance at Smite Masters and looking to redeem themselves a little bit. So I think Saw should get this win 2-0. Luminosity versus Team Allegiance. ALG have modified their roster somewhat, bringing in Neil Ma into the support role, he really played very well at the Gauntlet LAN, as did all Oxygen Supremacy. It's a real shame that team didn't make it into the SPL and actually split up. But he's found his way onto an SPL roster, which I think is really good. But I think Luminosity is too strong for Team Allegiance to handle it, and I'm going to give this one 2-0 to Luminosity. The Friday matchups, Saturday for me, Friday for you guys. The first one is going to be Optimus Gang versus Team Dignitas. I'm going to give this one to Team Dignitas 2-0. Similar reasons as why I'm giving them a 2-0 against Elevate. Rival versus Energy. So I think this is going to be our first kind of really interesting matchup of the week. And I think this one is going to be a split between these two teams. I don't know how much work Energy's put on during this kind of break between Smite Masters and now. And that's going to, I think, be the biggest determining factor, is whether Energy's really been grinding the game, really been screwing hard, screwing properly, or whether they've just kind of taken a break. If they've taken a break and looking to, gear up more during the split, then this should be a split to Rival, maybe even a 2-0. But if Energy have been putting in the work and putting in the hours and stuff, this could be a 2-0 to Energy. So I think this would be a really interesting game to watch. I'm very excited to watch it. But I think the safe call at the moment is going to be split. Next, we have the Parpies versus Elevate. This will be another close matchup as well, and I'm going to give this one as a split. Elevate had some changes. The Parpies new into the SPL. A couple of different factors going to be weighing on both of these teams. I don't think Elevate is strong enough just yet for me to really give them a 2-0 over anyone. Maybe Optimus Gang, maybe. But even still, I need to see more from Elevate for me to trust them a bit more. And our last matchup of the Friday is going to be Enix versus the Obey Alliance. This one should be a 2-0 to Obey Alliance. Top team in the world right now. I don't know if Enix is really, if the teams come together quickly enough for them to be able to take a game off Obey. Maybe they have. I hope they do. I love the guys in that team. They're really great guys, but I think Obey is a really, really, really good team. Like, really, really good. And that's the important word there, is team. Maybe individually they're not the best players in the world, but as a team, they play as the best players in the world. They play as the best team in the world. All right, our Saturday matchups. Our first one is going to be Noble Esports versus Luminosity. This should be a pretty clean 2-0 to Luminosity. I don't think even Noble's revealed their full roster yet, so I don't know who the jungle and solo lane for Noble are going to be. So I give this one to Luminosity 2-0. Dude, maybe Warus is returning to Noble. The return of Warus to the Clowns and Crowns. Next up, we're going to have In Memory of Gay versus E United. This one should actually be a pretty interesting matchup, and it has the potential for a split, but I think the safe bet right now is to go 2-0 to E United. This one is tough to call, but I'm going to put 2-0 E United in my season ticket anyway. Flashpoint versus Team Allegiance. This one is interesting, but probably a 2-0 to Allegiance. They're not the strongest team in the world right now, but I think they're stronger than Flashpoint, who I don't think are very good at the moment. And then lastly, we have Soul Gaming versus Team Eager. This one should be a split between these two squads. I think this should be a split. Eager getting used to their new roster, Saw or Slaw / question mark, whatever you want to call them, since they're no longer under the Saw Gaming banner. So whatever they decide to call themselves, for now they're Saw. I think they still need to put in some more work. But I'm going to give this one a split. Alright guys, that's going to be it for my power rankings and predictions for the North American and European SPL. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to be doing these weekly throughout the duration of the SPL. Let me know what you guys think, especially on the power rankings. I really want to hear your guys' opinions and know what you guys think and where you think teams should be ranked. Maybe even do your own power rankings, your own cross-regional power rankings, and we can get some more of that going, because I really love watching these inter-regional matchups. I think they're so interesting, seeing where these teams stack up against each other and ranking, making these rankings throughout the split and then seeing whether those actually reflect the strength of the teams when they come to competitions. I think is really, really cool. But that's going to be it for me for now. I'll see you next time.